I never believed in the supernatural. Ghost stories were just that, stories. But that was before the mirror, before it changed everything. It started when I moved into my new apartment, a last-minute find in a city where decent rent was a myth. The landlord seemed almost too eager to hand over the keys, but I didn't question it. The place was perfect, except for the mirror. It was massive, old, and built into the wall of the bedroom. The glass had a strange sheen, not quite reflective enough, like something moved beneath the surface. I meant to cover it up, but something always stopped me. Then, I noticed it. Every morning, as I brushed my teeth, I'd glance at my reflection. And every morning, I fell off. Like my reflection took a fraction of a second too long to mimic me. It was subtle, almost imperceptible. A twitch of the eye, a delayed tilt of the head. But once I noticed, I couldn't unsee it. Then, the reflection blinked. I hadn't. I froze, heart hammering. I convinced myself it was exhaustion, stress, bad lighting. But the more I watched, the more I saw. My reflection began to change, barely. My eyes looked darker. My smile stretched just a little too wide. And worst of all, sometimes at night, when I turned off the lights, I swore I could still see it. A faint outline, standing in the glass, watching me. I tried to ignore it. I stopped looking at the mirror altogether, but it didn't stop looking at me. One night, I woke up to the sound of breathing. It wasn't mine. Shaking. I reached for my phone to turn on the flashlight. The second the light flooded the room, I turned to the mirror. I was still in bed, but my reflection, it was sitting up, staring at me, eyes wide, unmoving. I scrambled back, clutching my phone, unable to breathe. My reflection's head tilted slowly, a grotesque, unnatural motion. Then, for the first time, it spoke. "You're finally awake." The voice wasn't mine. It was deeper, cracked, wrong. I bolted out of the room, barely able to think. The reflection didn't follow, at least, not physically. But I could feel it. A pressure, a presence, pushing against reality, waiting. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the living room, shaking, waiting for the sun to rise. When it did, I crept back to the bedroom, dreading what I might find. The mirror was empty, just a normal reflection. My reflection, but something was different. My room looked off, as if the angles were slightly wrong. The shadows didn't fall the way they should. And then I noticed my left hand. I'm right-handed. I never use my left hand for anything. But in the reflection, I was holding my phone in my left hand. I lifted my right hand. The reflection lifted its left. I turned my head. It didn't. A slow, sickening smile spread across its face. My face. And then, it took a step forward. The glass shattered. Darkness swallowed me. I woke up gasping, my hands clawing at something invisible pressing against my chest. I was on the floor, surrounded by shards of glass. But the mirror, it was gone. The wall where it had been was smooth, as if nothing had ever been there. Disoriented, I stumbled to my feet. My room looked normal, but an unnatural silence filled the space, thick and suffocating. My phone was still in my hand. The screen flickered, static crawling across the display. Then, just for a second, an image appeared. My own face. Except it wasn't mine. The eyes were too dark. The grin stretched too wide. And behind it, the reflection of my room, but twisted. The angles were wrong. The walls stretched into infinity, and a shadow loomed just behind the figure, behind me. I spun around, heart hammering, but the room was empty. When I turned back to the phone, the screen was black. I needed to get out. Grabbing my keys, I bolted for the door. But as I reached for the knob, my vision blurred. My fingers passed right through it. The door wasn't solid. It was like mist, intangible, unreal. A choked breath escaped me. I turned back to the room, my room, and that's when I saw it. The mirror was still there, but I wasn't on this side anymore. I was inside it. The realization hit me like a freight train. The bedroom outside the mirror was different. The colors were muted, the air thick with something heavy and unnatural. And then, he walked in. The other me. He looked around, testing his new body like someone slipping into a fresh skin. He flexed his fingers, stretched his limbs, then finally turned toward the mirror, toward me, and smiled. He raised a hand, mimicking my panic-stricken expression, tilting his head just slightly as if admiring his work. Then he did something that sent ice through my veins. He reached forward and placed his palm flat against the glass. On my side, the surface rippled. I stumbled back, shaking my head, heart pounding in my ears. No, this isn't real. This isn't happening. He mouthed something. I didn't understand at first. But then, as his lips curled into that sickening grin, I realized what he was saying. You're finally awake. I slammed my fists against the glass, screaming, but the sound was swallowed by the void. He turned away, walking toward the door. My door. And then, he left. I was trapped. No one could hear me. No one could see me. I pounded against the glass until my hands were raw, until my reflection blurred into the darkness beyond. But I knew, deep in my bones, that no matter how much I screamed, how much I begged, no one would ever know I was here. And he, whatever he was, would be living my life, forever.